building the business turns you into a different kind of human being.
Realize that failure is a part of the journey.
I think there's hope out there for all of us.
They say procrastination be the assassination of destinations. That's why we out here grinding with no association with haters and them other crabs trying to put us down. Pest badges in the house, boy, don't clown. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up. You can do whatever you dream of. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. I think I've been working on this one for a hot minute. I've been reaching out. I'm really excited about today. And I usually don't write intros. I usually just wing it. But I actually took some time before because I know that you're a researcher. And I know you take a lot of notes. And I know you have deep thoughts. So in return, I did the same for you. And I wrote you an intro. Most people know LaJaunie's Pest Control as one of the largest and fastest growing companies in the industry. What they may not know is the story behind building the company through hurricanes, economic uncertainty, and all the challenge that came with scaling the business. Welcome to the podcast, Skye LaJaunie.
Hi, Jonas. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the kind intro and being so mindful of the research. I'm super excited to be here and have the privilege of like just getting to talk to you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We've probably been like walked past each other a bunch of times, a bunch of events. We just never got a time to connect. So I think we sat there and talked for like the last 20, 30 minutes. And I was like, we just got to start hitting record. We're missing all the good stuff. So, but I always like to start the podcast the same exact way. The first question. And I'll open up this way. Skye, if you and I were a sophomore or a junior in high school, who is Skye?
Oh man. Okay. I was a troublemaker. I was a borderline criminal. I'll be honest. I put all the gray hairs on my dad's head for sure. Yeah, I was eccentric, loud, rambunctious, a bit of a rebel. Definitely a rebel.
Same.
Uh,
And in a good way, though. It wasn't bad. It was a good thing.
oh no, I don't know. I was kind of I really always loved to take a risk.
Yep.
And like would thrill me. I was kind of a risk junkie, and so when you're young and stupid, that also can become self-destructive.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that was definitely me. Even though even though I think like intelligence is one of my gifts, I was not a good student. I was undisciplined, and I was bored most of the time, even though I read books all the time and enjoyed the process of learning. I just was not interested in school at all. I felt like every exercise was so pointless.
How do you feel? How do you feel now, looking back at that? Do you still feel like those times where your kids went to school were pointless, like during those times?
I don't know. I still why I do value education. I think it's very different today. I think knowledge is so accessible. And after employing people for the last 20 plus years, and some with high levels of education, some with very little levels of education, and seeing how that really didn't correspond to people's performance, eh, I'm a little indifferent.
That's probably why I asked you the question, because I'm the same way.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I've hired people with large degrees, like lots of people with military backgrounds, and yeah, it doesn't always translate to being the best performer. And then sometimes it does. Like I've had some studs who have. So I feel the same way. So like my kids are in public school and it drives me crazy. And I've been trying to get them out of public school for a while. I can't really talk them out of it. My oldest is way too far gone. Next two, we're getting closer. So I'd love to get them, stay at home, learn, and then spend the time traveling with them and learning experiences and figuring out what they want to do with their life, and then really start honing on those skills early. My mentor had his oldest son out of school by the time like he was in 7th or 8th grade. Kid is an entrepreneur by 15. He's exited multiple businesses already. Kid's a stud, and that's what I'd love to do with my kids too.
Yeah. Yeah. Both of my children had like non-traditional education. Um, and they're 23 and 26. My 26-year-old is an entrepreneur. He's starting his third business. He had a couple of startups that like went wayward, and he learned he didn't do the traditional college route, even though I had like saved money in case they wanted to do some sort of education, and he chose to use the money to start businesses, and he's starting his third business. um he's actually just launched it, and I think he's going to have a great deal of success this time around because he's learned all the hard lessons. So he's an out of the box thinker, and I think the untraditional education, and then him seeing um, me and his father live the untraditional life of an entrepreneur, I think it's, that's affected his mind and his idea of how to earn and have success and become independent. My youngest son works for me. He runs one of my offices. In fact, it's our fastest growing office that we have right now, so I'm super proud of that. And he also, like, he's 23, but the way he views life and his own level of accomplishment, you can tell when you see them sit with another group of their peers who had more of a traditional education. You can see how the mind is moving a little different. So I think it does. I think traditional education is there to teach people how to become a workforce.
I knew what you were going to say before you even said it. I love
And
that.
that's not a bad thing because
No,
we all know we need a
absolutely,
workforce. And I'm
1000%.
I'm part of the workforce. But I believe that I was designed, and I'm going to live out my purpose through leadership.
Love it.
So
All right,
yeah.
so then let's fast forward a little bit. How do you find pest control, or how does pest control find you, Skye?
So I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I started my first business when I was 20. I was in the service industry. I was an esthetician, so I had a salon and spa,
Cool.
and I built that up to have some success. And I had a business partner that I didn't want to have anymore, and so I sold my portion to her, and then I was married to a pest control man. He started his career as a termite technician at one of the big brands in our industry, and he was 19 or 20, and he wanted to have his own business as well, and so I was like, there we are. I'm married. I'm married to a pest control man by default. I am now the helper of whatever happens in the pest control business, and that led to the career of pest control, which no one ever wakes up and says, I want to have a pest control business, but it is the best business in the world. It has the best people. It's a wonderful model. And I've also had an estate sale and moving company, and that was a good business, but pest control is still, in my opinion, one of the best service businesses that you could own.
I agree. I was 14 years old, and I was making my dad pay me to cut his grass. And my dream at that time was to own a lawn care company in Green Bay, Wisconsin. At that same day, when I'm thinking this through, I look back in the day. I remember where my dad's truck was parked. I remember what I was doing, and a pest control truck drove by me. Never seen, like, pest control was never like on my radar ever. And it drove past me, and I watched it in his little black Ford Ranger, had the tank in the back, and they pulled up to my neighbor's house. I think I was making my dad pay me like $15, $20 to cut his grass. It took me like an hour, right? And then I was just being nosy and went over to the neighbor's house, which is my aunt and uncle. And they had just got done, and they left, and they were there for, like I said, not very long. They hung a plastic invoice on the door, opened up the invoice, and it said like $120. I'm like, this was 20 years ago, 20 some years ago. And I was like, dang, that makes sense. So I knew then pest control was like on my radar for the first time. Hold up, quick pause. If you're on a pest control company or fertilization weed control company, you're not in our Facebook group, you're choosing the harder path. Every operator that's in there is skipping years of mistakes because people are actually sharing what's working right now. So stop trying to brute force your way through growth alone. Search Pest Control Millionaires on Facebook or click the link below. And now let's get back to it.
I want to share a little nugget of what happened there. So they call that experience, what you just described, as like a neuro imprint. And so this is a very interesting thing. It's, I think so much about success is knowing thyself. And so, and this happens to entrepreneurs all of the time. They experience these neuro imprints, and it either propels them forward in a powerful way or it becomes a bottleneck for them. And oftentimes it does both at different times in their career. So what happened to you is that you were very young, and the younger your brain is, the more powerful your neuro imprints become. So what happened to you is you made a connection to wealth and the lawn care service. And it was one of the first ways that you had ever thought about making money and becoming free through money. Like a connection happened
Yeah.
and it fired. And then that neuro imprint became really powerful because then you actually took action and got money from your parents and started to make actual money through that process. And then that just fully evolved. And here you are, one of the most successful service brands in the US, scaling and building and creating all this opportunity. And so that was a very powerful neuro imprint that moved you into the service industry and in the service business. Now, I'll give another example of this for that maybe some of our listeners can understand so they can apply the idea of neuro imprints to their own success. So, a way that a neuro imprint can be negative in an entrepreneur's life, and I'll give an example of this. I have a friend who I know through some of my peer groups, and he is very successful. He's 6, 7, maybe an $8 million pest control company. And he's a great salesperson, and he has a knack to get certain accounts in a certain way. And as a result, he never scaled like a huge sales program in his business. And he always kind of had like, okay, I'm going to handle the selling, and or this one or two other people are going to handle the selling, and I'm never going to really scale an outside sales team or an inside sales team. I'm not going to do anything there, because when he first began to make money and have success, he experienced the neuro imprint of I sold it, and that brought me money and success and a breakthrough past the $1 million market, right? Past the big goal. And then you hold on to that because you go, this is what I'm good at. No one else gets to do this. No one else gets to touch this. And then what happened to my friend is he had a harder time scaling to the 8-figure mark, to the 10 million point, even though all of that was available to him because he had held on so tightly to the sales process because of this powerful neuro imprint of I sell the job, I make the money, I get past the 7 figures. And so we all have that in our lives.
What was your moment like that?
Oh gosh.
I gotta flip the script a little bit.
Yeah, no, I still deal with these challenges. And but
Was there a neuro moment like that for you though?
oh
That
my
you can
gosh,
remember?
over and over again. Yeah, and once I kind of started to understand how the brain functions, and these things are not individual to me, but I understand them because I've experienced them and lived through them, right? Which is the power of mentorship and peers and listening to podcasts and having friends, right? Because you get to live the life and then you get to watch other people live the life, and then all of a sudden you're understanding who you are and how to move this machine we call the body forward, right? So I have had to deal with those sorts of neuro imprints over and over again in my life. Having enough self confidence, right? A huge neuro imprint for women, and I totally threw this one in the trash. But like they think, oh, they don't like me because I'm a woman. I'm in a room full of men. I don't get the same respect. Like all of these stupid things that women tell themselves. And if it's valid or not valid, it doesn't even matter, because if you believe it, that's what gives it power, right? And so I oftentimes help women get past the neuro imprint that it's harder to be a woman in business. I have my own neuro imprint, which is it is a tremendous benefit to me to be a woman in business, and it has, and I'm having more success because I'm a feminine power in the room, and that makes me unique, and it makes the way that I can operate and move through my life in a unique way. And that is an advantage over my male counterparts. It genuinely is. And so that's a neuro imprint that I had to get over, and I help other women get over. In business more specifically, because I'm talking about mindset, but in business more specifically, and this is where it becomes really powerful, is you have to sit down and you have to write all of the things that were major breakthroughs for you in your business. Let's say you're sitting here and you're listening to this podcast, you're at $2 million and you want to be at $5 million and you want to go, okay, I want to be Jonas, right? I want to do this exponential growth in a very short time. And you don't know why it's not happening for you, right? And you don't know what the next step you should do to create that, because everyone has their own path to success. So you have to forge your own. You can learn from other people's mistakes, but the way you're going to get it is not going to be like me, and it's not going to be like Jonas or any other of our powerhouse colleagues, right? You're going to forge your own journey. And so in order for you to draw your own map, you have to go back and look at everything that brought you success to this point in your life. If you have a $2 million company or $3 million company and you want to have a $6 million company in the next 2 to 3 years, everything that you did to get the $2 million company, you will have to delegate, give up, teach somebody else, completely release, and then recreate yourself again. And that is how you scale a business.
I love it. I have so many questions in the future today
Yes.
talking through about all this. It's going to be fun.
Yes.
I love it. What I'll say is that you mentioned something that I do a lot. So every single month in my notes, I write down 2 things. One thing that I learned through a failure that month, and then one thing that was a breakthrough that month. And then at the end of the year, usually at the end of the month, I go back and look at the other ones, but at the end of the year, I collaborate all those things together and I'll work through them at the end of the year. And I've done that for probably 3 or 4 years now in my notes. And then what I do with those, I usually make YouTube videos, but that's just what I do. I'm going to move on to the next question. It's actually still the first question. So what did the business actually look like early on in that startup?
Oh my goodness. It was, and I tell this story frequently, but it was 0 customers and a bootstrap and 2 young people with 2 young kids and no money, risking everything. We had a we had a little small savings, our entire little life savings, and traded in the family vehicle for the first service truck. I mean, it was pretty barren. And my youngest child's earliest memories was walking around with mom and dad in the afternoons after school and knocking on the neighbor's door and offering them pest control.
I love
And
it.
so that's my son Kyle and Christian, like they came with us because we didn't have a babysitter.
Right.
I had a pre-K and first grader. And so I would take my youngest one and walk one side of the street, and my husband would take the oldest one and walk the other side of the street.
Yeah, my oldest daughter spent many nights and days working with me. Younger two, not so much because they're younger and business way more established. But back then, when I was grinding it out, she spent a lot of late nights, midnights, overnights in my truck.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yes. And I also have fond childhood memories of sitting next to my entrepreneur father. He had a contracting company. He was a solopreneur. I lived better part of my life in his truck with him. But yeah, so I'm not a door knocking company, but I do have a door knocking route there.
That's awesome.
That was all we could do.
Was there a moment where you thought that it might not work?
No, it had to work.
I felt the same way. I didn't have a choice. Yeah. There was no plan B.
There was it had to work. I never entertained the possibility of losing.
Me either. That's how I am with anything that I do. I'm either 100% in or I'm 0%. Like there's no in between with me. But there isn't. Like it's like people ask me about the podcast. Like how do you keep going? I'm like, I don't know. It's just who I am. I don't know how to explain it. It's just I love doing it. It's I get to learn every single time we talk about this. I take notes. Like it's just how I am as a person.
I don't think it's healthy, but
It's
it's
not
good.
healthy. I never once mentioned that it's healthy, but it's the same thing with the gym. Like it's two workouts a day, every single day. Like meals are all this thing. I'm just all in. There's no half in or half out
But what we're really talking about here uh, is we're really just talking about resiliency,
for sure.
right? And that is the difference between entrepreneurs that keep going and the ones that don't. And I meet people a lot like this that maybe have $1 million business or $2 million business, and they're stuck there, or they don't have the desire to keep going because business is very difficult. And when I say it's difficult, and I intentionally said that I was going to talk about this with you, because too many times I hear successful people have a platform and an opportunity to talk about their success, and then they talk about how they never thought about giving up, and then they talk about, right, the things that we're talking about, because that's a very real part of success. But I think what entrepreneurs don't like to talk about on podcast, um, that prevents other people from being able to get value from their story, is all of the terribly difficult, hard shit that we go through.
Wait till my next question.
Yes. Yeah.
If you do, I know I mentioned this before the podcast, but like I don't sugarcoat anything. I tell every single story that happened to me through a podcast or YouTube channel. I don't hide anything, whether it's we had to let someone go, or if we got into an accident, we totaled trucks. Like I'm just very transparent. Like I've talked about my DUIs on here. Like that's just who I am. I have nothing to hide. Like everything that I've done in the past has made me who I am today, and I learned from them. Thankfully,
Yes. Yes. Because resiliency is a muscle.
it is.
You don't have it built in. You just keep having more difficult things, and then your ability to rebound becomes easier and easier and easier. Yeah.
And it's just like solving problems, like we're probably both so good at because we've been through them so many times. So when something happens where people make it a 10, to us, it's like a 1 or a 2. But people like to make things that are 2, an 8 or 9. It's like, no, calm down. This is not an 8. This is a 2. Let's leave it a 2. Like just some people are like that. There's some people who bring probably like yourself. You probably bring a 10 to a 2. You bring it back down. Temperature in the room. What was the hardest years?
I think every level of business has its own challenges. And I actually talk about this a lot with my peer groups and different people I mentor within the industry. And you know, it's really, really terrible to break the $1 million mark because you don't really know anything, especially if you're a bootstrap or you're a technical person that's just launching a business. Like you got to learn everything, right? Maybe you know how to technically perform a service, or maybe you know how to sell a service. So the first sub 1 million is just the challenge of learning, and you'll go through that slower or quicker depending on the level of mentorship you have and the level of skill you have, right? So people who isolate or have low skills sit at the sub 1 million for a longer than other people. It's not that they can't do it. It takes you a long time to figure it out. Once you get past 1 million, that 1 million to 3 million, oh God, I think that this may be the most difficult
It's the
mentally.
black hole.
Yes.
That's what I call it.
Yeah. It's like mentally, this is the hardest part. This is the part of regret. And this is also statistically, if you look at home service industries, this is also where most people sell
You'll
their business.
sell. Like
Yes.
I think I saw the statistic as of last year, 70% of the businesses that sold, maybe it was higher, maybe 76, were between 1 and 3 million. I talk about that in the podcast a lot.
Yes, yes. It's where people tap out, man, because you have all of this work and all of these things, and then you understand. You have a level of understanding when you're there, and you understand how much you don't have the bandwidth to do everything, and you also understand how you don't have enough money to hire everyone, right? And so that is so difficult because then you have to be the multiple hat wearer, right? And you have to stretch yourself into places that you never thought you would. And then you also have to learn how to lead people and delegate through that. And all of those things mentally have to happen at the same time. And I find that's where you really separate the people that go, I'm never going to give up. Right. This is where, what do they say? You separate the men from the boys. So it's a funny analogy for me to use as a woman, but this is where we separate the girls from the women.
Love it.
Yeah. So if you can press past that, and if you're there and you're listening to this podcast, I will tell you, get mentorship, get a network of people who will support you, because this is also where I see entrepreneurs get a divorce. I see them have mental like a whole like mental shift or mental strain or like sacrifice. Sometimes I'll see them get very overweight or kind of stop taking care of themselves because they're so entrenched in
Happened to
trying to
me.
get past it, right? This happened to me. I became very overweight in this
Same.
season.
Same.
Yeah, I was almost 90 pounds overweight because I
Yeah, I
just
mean, you're working, you're
I ate
grinding,
fast
you're
at my
you're
desk.
going to fast food, you're going to the quick trip, a gas station, you're eating garbage, you don't take care of yourself, you don't have any time, you're dealing with 2 young kids, like, yeah,
Yes.
agreed.
And so and if that happens to you, or you have interpersonal relationship problems or whatever within your family, if that happens to you, then you live there longer, because your energy is the foundation of everything you do. And so if you're unhappy professionally or physically or in your home life, then that depletes your energy, and then that depletes your ability and speed to move, think, and make good decisions. And so if you're there in the black hole, as you call it, do the thing, lean in to a level of discipline you've never experienced before, and you'll go through it faster. I did not understand that at that time, and I sacrificed too much, and I didn't have to.
It's so
So,
funny because the next question on this list is, what sacrifice did people never see?
oh God, uh,
Putting you on the spot today, Skye.
yeah,
Hey,
some of them,
I did some good
some of them
research
I'm
here.
not that proud of. Some of them I'm not that proud of. Yeah, not sleeping.
I still have that problem. It just doesn't shut off.
Yeah, not proper self-care. And again, I don't think that these were necessary sacrifices. I think I just didn't have the know-how or support to manage it. And that's part of why I do the peer groups, because I'm really passionate about helping people have better experiences of climbing the mountain of entrepreneurship, because I think it's a joyful and wonderful process if we have a community around us. But yeah, I definitely think just not taking care of myself,
That'd be one
um,
for me too. Definitely.
sacrificing time with my children, although I have a great relationship with both of my boys and we talk every day and they're both the apples of my eye. Yeah, have a lot of regrets about being mentally present. Like I was there physically, but maybe not mentally or emotionally present as I could be, because I was always buzzing about work in the background. Um, so not having good separation there because I was so driven. Um, and I think the other thing we don't like to talk about, but I find is a pretty universal entrepreneurial experience, is loss of friendships and isolation. So the first thing everyone does that's a great entrepreneur when they start a business is they hire their friends and family.
Every time.
Universally. I can
Yeah.
even go, don't freaking do that.
And I still do it.
It's like a rite of passage. And by the way, I also did it. So because you think, well, why? I'm just going to give all of my friends and family a wonderful job, and right, and they're going to work for me. And then what happens as a result of that often is failure and failed relationships, or strained relationships. Right? I mean, so the toll it takes if you work with your spouse, it takes a toll. It puts an additional weight or strain on the relationship. If you work with your children, it's the same thing. My son and he does not report directly to me. I do not directly mentor him, and we have an agreement, a spoken agreement, that this is not going to, our personal relationship supersedes business always, and that those are two separate things. And so you have to have good rules and boundaries. But I have lost many relationships with friends and people through the process. And then also just the betrayal. Betrayal is the cost of admission to success, and nobody told me that. So let me go ahead and tell everyone who's ever wants to have success, or if you've had success, betrayal is coming. Someone will steal from you, someone will disappoint you, someone will double cross you, someone will sue you for a false reason. All of those things are part of the entrepreneurial experience. They're part of having resiliency, but then also it's what you sacrifice something, because there's no way that those things and experiences do not have an emotional toll, right? Or an emotional effect. So the two things that those things do to you as a human being, one, they make you tougher and they exercise the resiliency muscle. But two, it can make you be more guarded, become jaded, right? And so I do a lot of things. I'm very intentional now to do things to serve people, be around great people, have good community, and have good experiences. And when you have, let's say you have 50 employees and you have 3 that were stealing from you and treated you really badly, and opened up a business to compete against you and solicited your customers, and right, I can't tell you how many people have that story. I have that story time in multiples. Okay.
Same here. Everything that you mentioned, it's happened to me. Everyone.
Of course. Yes. And if we normalize this, in entrepreneurial community and say, look, this stuff happens and it sucks and it's painful, but it is also the cost of it. It's the price of admission to the next door. And so what happens is we think we have dumb expectations, and we think that those things shouldn't happen. Those are outlier experiences, and we're never ready for them when they come, right? So what if we just said, you know what? It's normal. When you experience it and it comes, learn, get back up, and swing your axe again and keep chopping the tree down.
Love it.
And so like I think that's also the power of mentorship, community, the podcast that you're doing, and getting around people that are doing what you're doing or aspiring to what you're aspiring to, or people that are ahead of the road on you. And then you can set your expectations to reality.
I always say that you should have 3 mentors. One that's been there and done it. One that's roughly the same size, that's going to push you every single day. And then someone who's young and smart can keep you up with time with technology.
Yes, that's excellent. Yeah. That's actually biblical too, Jonas.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. It is. It talks about in the Bible, it talks about making sure that you have someone, an elder, right? Someone better and wiser, right? And then you need to have like a comrade, a person that's right alongside. And then you have to be a giver, and you should be mentoring someone else.
I love that.
Yeah, and so that those 3 types of relationships will keep you into a balance. Yeah.
Great. What changed in your leadership between 1 and 10 million? Probably a lot, but.
Oh my gosh, I'm much nicer. I don't know if all of my team would agree right now, but very few people that work for me at $1 million still work for me past 10. So
it's just, again, that's the cost of doing business too. And it's unfortunate because like what you said early on is like one of the first mistakes that you see young companies do is to hire friends and family. The other thing that I see is they think their first technician is going to be their general manager. Like, it's just not reality. Okay, does it happen from time to time? Yes, it does. But odds are very, very slim to none. I'd say about 1%.
mhm. Yeah.
I have this guy, I'm going to give him equity. We're going to grow. No, do not do that.
Yes.
Please do not do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see that all the time. Because I think creating things and creating entrepreneurial success and money is, it's so scary and difficult that it'll force people to become codependent. I see that a lot. They'll become codependent on a manager, or they'll have an unmerited amount of loyalty, right, to someone who didn't abandon them when everyone else did. So, and I'm not saying that that's wrong or right, and I'm not saying that's justified or unjustified, but in business, uh, you have to make decisions for what's best for the company and the overall success of the organization, and not your individual loyalties.
Right. Even early on, like looking back, like I struggle with that too. Uh, I, I, the business was established and I hired my brother. He was having some issues and I told my dad I'd try to help him out, even though I knew better. It didn't last very long. I had to fire my brother because it's for the greater good of the company. And you still have those things. You work with someone for 3, 4, or 5 years, you build a good relationship with them, you spend more time with them than you do your family usually. And then just to have to part ways and especially as entrepreneurs, we're people. And so it's tough for us. And so it's just, again, it's the cost of doing business. And at the end of the day, I always ask myself the one question is like, is this in the best interest of Pest Badger? And if the answer is always yes, then I made the right decision.
Yeah. Yes. It's a bit of an ego death to do that.
It is.
Yeah, you have to be okay with not being liked. And I think essentially, I'm really comfortable with people not liking me. And when I was a $1 million leader, I really every time someone quit or every time someone was displeased, it really disturbed my peace. And I can say with a whole heart, I am unfazed at this level. I'm like, you know what? As long as we keep going and the business is having success and we're doing the right thing and following our core values, that's all that matters. And so I don't get too worked up when someone else is unhappy, because no one's going to be happy all the time.
Never. It's just not
And
reality.
if you find a perfect organization, and I tell this to my team members, I say, if you find a perfect workplace, don't go work there because you'll mess it up.
It's funny. What was something that you had to do personally to get the company to grow?
I think for me, and I talk about this pretty openly, for me, the best thing that really broke ice on growth strategy was learning and honing the skills of inbound sales and creating inbound leads and having a really masterful, scalable sales process there. And by the way, with the way that, because I've been growing our business like that for the last 10 years. But in the last 2 or 3 years, I've had to completely and totally recreate that process because of this and change in technology and consumer behaviors and how they want to communicate. Um, and so I think that that's been the biggest. That was part that, like, I talked earlier about creating your own path to success. That was part of my path to success. Was understanding how to do that, and it matched my skill levels and my abilities really well. And so that's been a big focus of my career and growth in the business.
Yeah, because back even let's go 5, maybe 7 years ago, maybe not even that far, everyone just liked to call in and talk to someone. Now no one wants to really talk on the phone. Everything has changed. Like I'm probably the same way. Like if you call me, if I know you, I'll call you back. But if you just text me, I'll give a faster response.
Yeah, yeah. I call people sometimes, and I go, I'm doing that weird thing where old people call you.
And then just now with like the whole new rollout of Google and like the AI agent's gonna start calling you now instead of like the actual customer calling you. The AI agent's gonna call 2 to 3 companies, get a quote, and give the information back to the consumer. Like you guys have to be prepared for this. If your website is not able to be read by like one of the large language models, and you don't have a lot of good video content, like asking all the questions that people are going to want answered to give the large language models the answers to the questions, you guys are going to be falling behind. So just make sure that you have these things locked in, because I'm the same way. I use ChatGPT for everything, or Claude or something. I don't even use Google search anymore.
Hmm.
And so that's just a way that the world's evolving. In operators that are listening to this, thank you for listening. Like, because hopefully you'll learn something here and be prepared for it. I said last week that marketing hasn't changed in the last 40 years up until last year. Now everything's changing.
See, I might throw a little wrench in that because
Do it.
I'm a little older than you, just a little. And and I remember um when launching LaJaunie's and co-founding LaJaunie's, the phone book was still important. And I kid you not, we were the first in our market. We were the first privately held pest control company that had a website.
That
The
was
first
like what, 2000?
8.
I'd say 2008, 2010. If you were an early adopter with technology, which you were, and you were one of the first people on the internet, and you were running Google ads, you absolutely crushed.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And
The
so that
.com era, and I feel like that's what the new AI version is going to be of that.
yes, yes. So I don't know. That wasn't 40 years ago. So I think that was the largest shift. That was the largest shift that I experienced in my career was of like physical print into digital movement and then and doing everything digitally. And now I'm going through another movement where, hey, the whole way that consumers are going to search and make buying decisions has now changed. And how do we move forward through that? And then also, I think the biggest disruptor that our industry is going to see in the next 5 to 10 years is probably some regulation against calendar application pest control. So, like right now, the whole entire industry is based on, hey, I'm coming on a quarterly cadence, monthly cadence, whatever you do. And I think that the preventative application of pesticides is going to be heavily regulated. And we've already seen that in other parts of the world.
For
So
sure.
I think
Yeah,
that's
and
coming
I do
next.
too. And so, and that's why they'll ask me, and you probably ask the same question every day, like, "What's your exit plan?" We'll get into that. It's like like I said, when I started this thing, I was going to go on a 20-year run. I'm 5 years in. We'll start of our 6th year. But they're like, "Well, when are you going to sell?" I'm like, "I don't know the answer to that because I just don't know what the future of pest control looks like." Well, I think pest control will always be around. Yes, I just don't know what it looks like. Do I think the people with the most customers still wins? I do believe that because that's what people are going to want to buy. You have access to people. You have a big customer list. I just don't know what that looks like. I wish I did.
I don't know. So I've heard two schools of thought. One is that, oh gosh, that'll increase profitability in a massive way because
Absolutely.
you can still keep people in a subscription basis.
Subscription. Yep. And then if something happens, you go out there and take care of it. We already do that. We've been selling that way for the last 2 years. So that's one of the options that we have. They sign up for a year program and they get so many services a year. You call us when you need us. Does it make scheduling a little bit more challenging? Yes. But is it great? Absolutely. It's the insurance model that we run.
I recently did a meeting with a man from South Africa who has a home maintenance platform, an online platform that basically takes care of like rentals and SDRs and all of that. And he provides services and contracts, and one of them is pest control. And he does no calendar application. It's like he has over 300,000 subscribers on the platform that are landlords and are property managers. And he charges them all like $10. And he has a reaction only subcontract agreement with, whatever local pest firms in his country. Regulations are very different there, but uh, I found that very interesting, and he was wildly successful, of course. I think we'll see more of that.
But it's like you said, we're as entrepreneurs, we're always going to have to pivot. You're always going to have to recreate yourself. Every 6 months, probably you recreate yourself. It's just how we have to be. What are your non-negotiables as a leader?
Integrity. So we have core values, and we hire and fire on them. So I can quickly default to that as a non-negotiable. We're reliable. So and we have definitions for these. So integrity is we do the right thing when no one's looking, which is absolutely essential in the sense that 70% of my workforce goes out and works unsupervised every day alone in a vehicle. Um, we're reliable, and that just means that we show up and do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it. And if we don't, we communicate. Um, So those are two off the top of my head. Passion is another one, which is unusual. And it makes for a very interesting company because a lot of our meetings and um, just people and interaction. But passion is a non-negotiable for me. If you're there for a paycheck or you just feel nothing or you feel like your job is a monotonous drain, like I don't want you around me because I believe in energy and I believe in the power of synergy and people who have like-mindedness and
So if
passion and
someone is like maybe a little bit combative, maybe that's a bad word, but they're not a yes man, would you consider that as passionate?
sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because if you just cared enough to argue.
Exactly. I'm always up for a good debate. That's why I ask.
I'll take the team member that cares enough to stand up and assert themselves for an issue within my company. I'll take that person over the other person who will passively sit in a meeting and then gossip later, or not even care at all. Just go home and eat pie and watch their department or their situation or their responsibilities burn to the ground and say nothing. That's the most dangerous people, right?
Agreed.
Not the ones that.
It's usually not the A and B players. It's a C player. They do just enough.
Now, with that being said, I also would think, what in the heck? I can't even believe that person said that. I also had that
Yeah.
internal conversation frequently. Uh, I had one of my technicians come in my office. I was visiting one of my branches, and he came in my office yesterday and asked me why I had a why I had a bi-monthly pay schedule, and started to tell me why I needed to change my pay schedule. And I thought, I wish he would get out of here. And then I thought, at least he cared.
Right.
At least he cares enough to be laying awake at night thinking about the pay schedules at the business he works at, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, passion is super important.
I love that. Which kind of ties into my next question. What behaviors do you know immediately will cause someone to fail at your organization? You kind of said like not showing up on time, not caring.
Yeah, unreliable, unintegrous.
You know, that drives me crazy. I feel like I'm okay. Maybe this comes out bad. Not that I'm easy to work for, but I'm not hard to work for either. Do I have a high expectations? Absolutely. Am I a driver? 1,000%. But like, it's not that hard either. Like, you show up on time, you do a good job, you're good with customers, and you keep my trucks clean. We're probably gonna have a good relationship. Like we have this thing that we do for our customers too, where it's an integrity thing. Like, just do one thing that's nice for the customer, and I don't care if they never see it. That's not what it's about. It's that we're out there making a difference, making an impact on our customers in an easy way, and that could be picking up a toy in the yard, whatever, just something that's easy. If they see that the garbage was taken out at the end of the driveway, and they saw the garbage man come, just pull it up to the house for them. Just something very simple. I don't care if they never see it. It's simple things like that.
I think Jonas, I think the problem with people having integrity and having those values, it isn't that people don't want to have it. It's that they don't understand what integrity is. And I do this experiment with people a lot when I interview. I'll be like, "What is integrity to you?" Because people have very different definitions of what that is. And because there's very few people you will meet in the world, and they will just look at you and be like, You know what? I don't have any integrity.
Yeah, right.
Lie. I'll just do whatever benefits me before anything else." Like you won't meet people like that. And so everyone thinks they're integrous, but everyone has their own definition of it. And so I'm very clear about the definition of integrity. And I tell people all the time, integrity is not morality. It's not your moral code. Because when you start to have your own code about what integrity is, I mean, your code could be, you know,
You didn't steal this week.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can cheat on my spouse as long as they don't find out, right? Right? Like everybody has their own code, right? And every human being has met someone like this. But they're living to their own code. Integrity is keeping your word to yourself. If you come and you work in my organization and you sign a handbook and you sit here and tell me you're going to perform your duties, and you say that you're going to strive to accomplish whatever level or goal we set out, and then you don't do it, and you don't even try to do it, and like there's just no, and that stacks back into passion, then you don't have integrity. You know, where's the integrity? And then I'm not so tough that you can't make a mistake or have a failure, but I think you have to, if you have integrity, you own the failure, right?
Going back to what I said earlier, and I tell my leadership team this all the time, like you don't have to come to me for everything, obviously. You're here for a reason. And if you, as long as you make the decision, whether it's right or wrong, but is in the best interest of Pest Badger, you made the wrong choice, so be it. I'll never be mad. You made a decision, because so many people don't even make a decision. I'm gonna switch because I know you'll love this. But I read somewhere online that you're a certified EOS integrator. Is that true?
Yes, yes, I love EOS. I run the EOS in my business, and yeah, I'm a master integrator. I took the certification. I got to meet Mark Winters,
Awesome.
which is a huge
Cool.
deal for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
and spend some time there with them.
Yeah, I think we've been running EOS for, I don't know, I was in Park City, Utah, the first time I ever heard of it. We had to read the book Traction for one of my or mentorship programs that I was in. But back then, I think it was like 2010 or 11, 12, somewhere, I don't remember the exact date. But there was like no implementers close by. Like the closest one was like Oklahoma, and he had to fly from Chicago and then drive from Chicago to meet us in Milwaukee. I'm like, yeah, that just doesn't work. So we self-implemented. Could we be improved? For sure. But then I've talked to integrators on the phone. They ask us questions, run a meeting for us here and there. They don't. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're doing a pretty good thing. But I love it too. So what we decided to do was we've altered a few things, made it our own. And then we run like mini EOS meetings for all of our branches too. Do you do something similar?
We do. We have some altered formats that we use because once your organization gets past 100 people, not everything in EOS is going to fit.
Right.
But since a vast majority of all businesses in the US are sub 100 people, it is a wonderful blanket solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you use all the online tools like 90.io, things like that still, or you just kind of roll through?
I do. So I use 90IO to run my pest control company, and I also use that to run my peer groups and peer group meetings.
That's cool.
Yes. So it's cool because one, it's just a fantastic tool.
It is.
Um,
Yeah.
and two, I love to do it in my peer groups because everyone gets the benefit of learning how to interact with that software, and then it can bring them value within their business.
What made you guys adopt EOS? Where did you guys come across it?
Oh gosh, we started doing. I found EOS because I like order.
Yeah.
I'm a Virgo. I like order. I like to run on time, and I like rhythm. And my business partner is a flaming visionary who just like runs all over and creates the chaos that creates business growth. But uh, I had to do something to move the business forward. I had the operator role of the business for many, many, many years. And so I want to say I found the book Traction maybe through like, I was just looking on Amazon, and I was like, okay, I'll read it.
How many times have you read it now?
So many times, but it is the driest read.
It is. I love it though.
It is so dry, and so a lot of people pick it up and don't make it through because it's just to the point. But it's so fantastic. I usually have to drag my leaders through reading it. And yeah, once I started that, I got the big like white post-it notes, and like I had them all over my office. I have some pictures somewhere and where I'm like teaching everyone, what does IDS mean? What is what is
Yeah.
what does it do, right? And like and I remember running the very first EOS meeting in my little upstairs attic office in one of our first locations. And afterwards, everybody on the team's eyes were like this big, and they were like, "That was the best meeting we've ever had. And that was it. Maybe that was one of the neuro imprints I told you. And now I'm just hooked on EOS forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there any resistance from the team early on, or they kind of bought in right after that first meeting?
Yeah, my business partner hated it. Jared hated it. And that's
Probably because you had to sit him down for an hour.
yes. Yes. And then there was a process. And yeah, usually people who are really creative visionaries kind of resist it at first. And then once the results come, then you get the good buy-in, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was the visionary who just loved the book. Like, I don't know, maybe because I read through it so fast, and like I could see like the writing on the wall, what it could do. I'm like, I love it. But at first, when it was presented to me, and we were going through the book, I'm like, oh, this shit's so boring. Like, I don't want to sit in this class for 8 hours. I was bored out of my mind in Park City, Utah. Bored out of my mind. And the guy was a dick too, so that didn't help. But then I read the book on my own on the way home. Like on the plane, I think I started reading it on the way home, and I was hooked to the book. I'm like, okay, I like this. I can get with this. What was the biggest impact that it made on LaJaunie's?
Um, I think meeting quality and communication quality went up. Accountability of
Big
execution.
one for sure.
Yeah.
With your rocks, it's simple. Yeah, I love that part of it. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty cut and dry, and yeah, just organization overall. I mean, I couldn't even imagine having a multi-unit business and not having that at this point.
Agreed. We couldn't do without it either. If somebody's listening, let's say doing 500K to 3 mil-ish, where would you say that they start?
EOS, I mean, of course, read the book. And then I am a tremendous advocate of hiring someone to help you implement, especially if you're leading operating within a business and you're sub 3 million. Get an implementer, because it's just nearly the odds of you having success in implementation without someone coming on board and helping you is very, very low, just because of the amount of hats that one must wear at
Yeah,
that stage of business,
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
1000% agree with that. I probably already know the answer to this, but because we talked about it kind of before the podcast started, so I know the real reason. But why did you start the Eagle's Nest?
I started the Eagle's Nest because I wanted to live out my purpose in a container of helping other entrepreneurs. Um, I wanted to create a community where other people won, and I got to win with them, and we got to celebrate each other's wins. Um, and also, everything that I've really ever learned about business, I either learned through making a mistake, or I learned because someone shared their knowledge or experience with me. And it was much less painful to learn through knowledge and experience of another person than it was through my mistakes. And so I feel like it's my way of helping bring a little bit more success and a little less pain into the lives of entrepreneurs. And I really am a huge fan of anyone who's brave enough to start a business. And entrepreneurship and business ownership has transformed my life, not just financially, but has transformed who I am as a human being. And I think it's spiritual work to do that, to become better, and to become and reach your highest potential and strive for something. And so I think I had said earlier, you cannot give what you don't have, and you cannot have what you don't give, right? And so that's really the mission behind uh, facilitating those peer groups. And I facilitated my own peer group, and it was just a group of other pest control operators, and we just became dear friends. And um, I just happened to be the integrator in the room, and everybody else was visionary. And I was like, all right, let's bring order to this. And then I started facilitating the group, and I had as all of our businesses grew, and we all achieved new levels of success, and the group started to fall apart. And someone told me one day that was part of that group. They said, Skye, I'm richer and smarter because of this group and the work you did in leading the group. And I thought, I really liked that. I think I'm going to do more of that. I want to help other people become richer and smarter. And then to your point, when we were discussing before we went on air, you get the benefit of talking to all the people in your podcast. You're helping other people and you're also learning. And that's also happening for me as well. So,
Did
yeah.
you see a gap in the industry?
Yes.
Same.
Yes. I certainly don't like to throw shade on anyone, but there's a lot of um consultants, groups, our local organizations, national organizations that are involved in our industry that do not help people in business. So, like, I could probably find 5,000 classes on how to kill a cockroach. And if I could go there, it would be full of pest control company owners, right? Or I could find a class on, um, like just things that don't actually result in growing or scaling your business or helping people get their dreams. There was just an influx of technical trainings and regulatory trainings and nothing about helping people in our industry or very little about helping people in our industry actually grow as entrepreneurs and business people.
Yeah, and I agree. I think what you're doing is phenomenal. And I only know a little bit of bits and pieces that I hear through the industry. And I know who you are as a person. I think it's super awesome what you're doing. And I feel like for myself, coaching will always be there for me one day. Like if I want to be a coach, maybe when I'm done with this thing, I will do it then. But right now, it's just not, the cards aren't there for me. Like I just have one focus right now. It's grow and pest badger. And of course, I'll jump on calls here and there to help. We have our marketing program that people can join to teach them how to do their own marketing, how to build their own inside sales team, things like that. But as far as like consulting and coaching, I just don't have the time. And I feel like this is just me personally, like it's not throwing shade to anyone either. I just feel like I haven't done shit with my life yet to go teach someone else what to do. And that's just how I feel.
I think you're underselling yourself pretty gravely.
But that's just how I feel personally. Like I just feel like I have so much more to prove to myself.
Absolutely. I think that's why I like the format of peer groups over like one-to-one coaching or anything like that.
The group is powerful.
Yes,
That was in one.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not there to fix anyone's business. We're there sitting at the table as equals and with mutual respect and pushing each other forward and sharing collective genius, right? So uh, I don't know. I kind of agree with you on the coaching mode, and I will also say this. I have a rule where I don't really like to hire consultants or coaches, and I learned this the hard way because I've invested a lot of money over the years in consulting, coaching, and professional development for myself and my team. And um and I also have this beautiful rule that my wealth advisor gave me that I'm implementing in my life right now, where she says you should spend 5% of your top line revenue on your own personal and professional development if as a CEO and as an owner. And I think that's such a wonderful rule. And I'm doing that now. But I will say that you should absolutely 100% have a community, have a network, and you should never hire a consultant or a coach to come and teach you something that they themselves have not attained. And some people will argue. They're like, well,
No.
you
No.
know, uh,
Yeah.
Nick Saban didn't necessarily quarterback, a college, championship team, right? But Nick Saban has won college championships. So he therefore is qualified to do it. And I think when you're translating those lessons into business coaching, if you're going to get a business coach and you have a $5 million business, get a business coach that ran a $10 million business. If you have a $10 million business, get a business coach that took a $10 million business to a $100 million business. And don't make the mistake of hiring and listening to people. If I ever made a mistake in the last few years, it was listening to consultants that didn't know what they were talking about.
Yep, I agree. And again, it's not throwing shade, but I see so many of them out there. I'm like, I just there's a places for them. I get it. You know, people that are running sub $1 million companies, coaching, like I get it. Like there's places for them for the people who are just starting out. I'm sure they can save them a lot of time. So I'm not throwing shade. I get it. I just feel that's just how I feel personally. I'm just not there yet. And I just know that my number one focus has to be Pest Badger. And then people will say, well, then why do you do the podcast? Like, because I'm learning. And the podcast started out as me interviewing my friends because we were all in that peer group together. And then our coach mentor sold his company, and that mentor, the coaching program went with it. And he had a non-compete for like 5 years, couldn't do it. And so like, I just want to keep my friends together. Like someone should start a podcast. So I literally was sitting in this basement here on just my laptop. It was unfinished. There was no studio. And I was just interviewing my friends, hitting record. That's just how it started. And then I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like I'm learning. And then I just kept interviewing my friends and posted online. And I didn't expect it to turn into this, but here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And there you are. You're giving knowledge and sharing information with others, and you're gaining it yourself.
Yeah. If I actually wrote this question now, and I think it's a good one. If I sat in the room at the Eagle's Nest, what conversations would I hear that I wouldn't hear anywhere else?
Well, I think the way that we speak to each other is very different. So we have values and guidelines that we follow within our meeting formats that you've probably never experienced anywhere else. So one of the things that we practice is feedback as a gift. And we do this exercise that is very uncomfortable at first, but it becomes very easy and loving and affirming as you practice it and continue to be part of the group. But we look each other square in the eye and we give succinct and simple sentences of feedback to each other. And we also practice an exercise called challenge, where we stand up and we look each other in the face. And when we conclude the meeting, and we challenge each other to do things to better ourselves. We challenge each other to overcome things that we've been using as excuses. And those challenges and those feedbacks aren't just limited to business. They're also about personal development. You know, I've heard men stand and challenge another man to begin to take his wife on a date once a week. I've heard people stand and challenge someone and go, "Hey, I challenge you to sell 800 new accounts in the next 6 months." And you can say, and this is what I love, you can say, "I accept," or "I don't accept." And you don't get to say why you accept or why you don't. That's the rules. You just state what you're going to do or what you're not going to do, and you sit in the comfort of not giving an explanation.
That's awesome.
And so it's a mental practice and a mental exercise. So that's some of the things that we do and the way we operate within the group. Um, so and entrepreneurs don't have that. Bosses don't have that because no one challenges you or tells you anything or tells you you're not doing a good job or tells you that you're playing small or tells you that you actually really could do that and you're just avoiding something, right? And so that's the gift of the formats of our groups. They're intense. They're not for everyone. They're for the people who really, really want to come and quickly break into the next level of their lives.
That's super awesome. One of it was probably the very first thing my mentor ever told me. I think that looking back, he saw I had a lot of potential, but I was from a really small town. So he talked about it a lot, not to my face, but to the group as a whole, about just like, you might think like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Like I should be growing faster. Like a lot of it just where we live. But he said the first thing he ever told me was to think bigger. And every time that I feel like I'm thinking bigger, I'm not thinking big enough. And I find myself 3 years later, like, dang, like, why was I thinking? Like, I look back at I have these goals that I write down every single morning, every single night. And I'll look back to like last year. I'm like, why was I thinking that? Like, to think bigger. Like, and I don't know when big is big enough. I'm not really sure, but I haven't got there yet. What is the most expensive mistake that you've made and that you see other operators make?
I've made so many expensive mistakes. I gotta go back in my file box and see which one had the biggest
It's
number.
funny because me too. Like I right off the top of my head, when I first started Pest Badger, I spent 80 grand in hotel rooms.
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah, it's not great. I didn't really know it. I was just whatever. I was all in. And then looking back, like, oh
I
yeah,
think
that's not smart.
I spent the most money and as far as just like price tag on marketing with things that didn't work and not having good tracking systems to know what channels were really performing. But even that, I do not put into the I don't put it down as a waste on my list because it was just the cost of my education.
Yeah. He would go spend $100,000, $2,000 a year on college for 4 years, so $500,000 in or more, and then they come out making $200,000-$300,000 a year.
Yes, and let
And
me tell
so yeah,
you, when I go, I am better. I am better, and I can say this only because I'm saying this from real life experience. Like any marketing graduate that is coming out of college today, I know eons of more information about how to market, grow, and build out a marketing system digitally and creatively. Uh, like I mean, I'm going to call myself the PhD of that, and
for real.
I have a multi-million-dollar education in it. So, and I have no piece of paper, but I definitely done the stupidest things, I guess, if you would call them stupid, but I paid for my lessons there. And I see other operators make that mistake pretty commonly. They don't have good attribution to their lead. They don't track their close rates. You
Or they
know,
don't do it long enough, right? They don't do it enough or long enough to know if it's working or not. They give it way too early.
yes, and most people that don't have that are sub the 3 million are just maybe they're lacking a little bandwidth. But they also overcomplicate it.
They do. And
Uh,
like I said, just have an attribution for every single source channel too, right? Not just overall, but like where should I put more money because this thing's working, whether it's Meta, LSA, pay per click, whatever. Or maybe it's door hangers, maybe it's EDDM. But if you're not tracking every single source and know the how many leads you get for each, what you're paying, cost per click, and you close rate every single platform, like you're wildly guessing.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's very true. And look, I
And
guess
as you know, it could be market dependent too, right?
yes, yes. What works in one market might not work in another. Case in point, Yelp. Yelp works so well to generate leads in certain markets, and I mean, Yelp is terrible in
Yelp's not even a thing here, like no one uses it.
yes, yes,
But
same.
people in California have grown multi-million-dollar companies off Yelp alone.
hmm hmm I think there's opportunity everywhere. It's so funny how you can meet an entrepreneur that creates a whole business off of a lead source that you would go and try to throw a rock in that pond and you couldn't
For
get a rope.
real. As one of our good mentors would say, Alex, he says that's key channel risk, though. Don't get so dependent on one channel because that other channel that goes away, like with this AI agent thing, and you're solely dependent on Google, and things change up, you better have a backup plan.
So true. You need to have when you're growing your business, you need to have 4 or 5 vehicles that are taking you there.
Love that. Imposter syndrome. I've wherever I was reading, I can't remember where it was. I heard you mention that. Do you still experience that at all today?
No, I don't know if I've ever declared imposter syndrome over myself.
I mean, maybe early. I could say maybe early on that I did, like real early.
I don't feel like an imposter. I I feel like I'm doing exactly what I was built and designed to do. And I also think I'm really good at my job, and I'm really good at
Confident.
what
Yeah.
I'm doing. Yeah, I genuinely feel that way. Like I don't like I never go, oh man. I mean, but I do also experience rejection. Why did that person leave my team? How did I fail? How can I improve? I mean, I experience those emotions, but I never wake up and go, is this really who I am? Or, wow, did I really show up? Am I really the leader? Like, how did that happen? Like, I never have
Yeah.
that conversation. I'm like, I am the leader, and this is what I've always wanted.
Yeah. I think for maybe for like I look back, like maybe super early on, like in my first business, in my first location, maybe then, because like I was from a small town, like that's what I would hear, small town stuff. Like, yeah, you're from a small town, any you can do here, blah 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 blah. Like you knew everyone, just all that. So like maybe I listened to that way too much at that time, and then I went and proved it again in another market. I'm like, okay, I am pretty goddamn good at this thing. Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, I get it. Yeah, I always thought I was a really good operator. I obviously was a really good operator. But again, I thought I did have it maybe easier than most. I don't know because I was from a small town. I had lots of opportunities. I had lots of a big network here of a small town. But then when I went and did it somewhere else, I'm like, okay, it's not just that. When did you finally start believe that the company could be something really, really big?
I always believed it would be. I always believed it would be. I remember it was maybe 2020, and we were implementing EOS, and we were working with an implementer, and we had our leadership team. We were meeting in my living room because we couldn't get a venue, and the coach is in there, and I got my big Great Dane sitting on the coach's lap. And he's in there talking to the leadership team, and he says, okay, we need to make a vision. We're going through a vision exercise. And he goes around the room, and he asks all the men in the room. I'm the only lady in the room as usual. And he asked, my husband, business partner, what do you think the revenue could be in this company? And then he asked my sales marketing guy, what do you think the revenue could be? And he goes through the room, and he gets to me last. And I had the number in my head before anyone else said their number. And they had said, oh, it could be 5 million. It could be 10 million. I think my husband said it's going to be 10 million. And I just looked at him and I said, you know what? I believe for 25 million. I think we have the potential to have a $25 million operation, in the next 5 to 6 years, which that was, it's I'm not there yet. But I do have a 2031 goal. But and now if you ask me that question today, I have an even larger vision.
Yeah, and so my goal when I started this thing was 100, and now I feel like we're closing that gap so fast. Like I said, my goal, like again, like I just said, like why was I thinking that 2 years ago? Why is it so small? But to me at that time it was still big, and I was like, we're closing that gap so fast. Like that goal is way too small now. I don't know.
You know how many times I ask people at entrepreneurial events, if you come and talk to me, because I'll talk to you, I'm very friendly. But the first thing I like to ask people, and they don't have to be business people. I'll ask people this all the time. I'll say, what's your vision for your life?
It's super weird though. Like I'll like close my eyes, whether it's laying down or whatever, and like I see the future of this thing already. And I don't know why. I saw where I look at my like 5-year goal from 5 years ago through EOS, and like what I wanted. Like I could see it then. And like I look back at that today, we blew that thing out of the water. And so I look at it today and I just close my eyes. I can literally see what it looks like already. It's a weird thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's super strange though.
Yes, but that is very powerful.
Yeah, it's
And
weird.
most of the people I ask, they do not have a vision. They don't have one. And I'm like blown away by that. And I'm like, oh, what's your vision for your business? A lot of times they don't have one. Or I'll even ask people, I'll ask people, well, what's your vision for your family, for your kids, for your spouse? What are you doing? And they go, so I always like to respond with that. Well, let's talk about that. You need to create a vision, because what you envision is what is it'll be the driving force. Just like you said, that power of closing your eyes and knowing what you're creating. Leaders create outcomes that otherwise would have never happened.
You got to let the now, right? The future, yeah, you got to let the future predict the outcome of today. It's like you got to use the today, right, to set future. Like I'm looking at my vision board sitting right here from the last 3 years. Like I go through this every single New Year's Eve instead of going out and partying like I used to do back in the day. Like I'll take New Year's Eve every single year and I'll create a vision board that night for the next year. That's just what I've done the last 4 years.
That's awesome. I celebrate and I make a vision board.
I used to celebrate too much. That's the problem. I'm going to do a rapid fire to end this thing up.
Okay.
I have one question first, and then I'll give you mine too, because I'm just transparent. What keeps you up at night today?
I think what probably, there's a lot. There's a lot. It depends on what night of the week it is. I think the biggest thing I worry about, if I worry, or my biggest fear, maybe might be a better definition of it, is missing the mark of the purpose of my life. So I'm 45, and I've raised my boys. They're great. They're great young men. I'm very proud of them. I've accomplished that mission, best work of my life. And now I'm looking into what am I creating? I'm at the midpoint, right? And
Almost.
yeah, and where is my life of impact? Because one of my highest values is contribution. I want to contribute everywhere I go. I want to add value. I want to make the room better. I want to make the people rise in the room. I don't know. I feel like that's like part of my purpose, and I think I feel like I could have more impact. I should be further, and I think about how I can become more excellent in that mission. And so it bugs me when I have a little failure of discipline or a failure of consistency, or, oh man, I wish I would have showed up better in this way in that leadership situation. So I kind of think about that, and just improvement overall, and how that directly corresponds to me giving everything that I had and reaching my highest potential and really making an impact on the world. And as the older I get, the more like urgency I feel behind that, because life is so short and it's going by so quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't slow down either.
No.
My daughter just graduated her sophomore year, and she's like, thankfully. I said, you say that now, but there will come a point in the next few years that you'll wish that you were back there. So just enjoy it while you're there.
Mm-hmm.
I said, there's not a day goes by that. I mean, I really don't want to be back in high school. Honestly, I have zero interest in that. But I wish I would have enjoyed those years maybe a little bit more than I did, because I didn't. I constantly worked. I worked all my summers away. I went out of school to work, so I did work half the day, and because I like a lot of things, but just enjoy it. And like, I don't want her to have a job. She's a hard worker, whether it's wrestling or sports or education. She's smart. She works super hard. I just told her to just enjoy the ride, like you and I talked about where we struggle is that we both have the same issue of not being able to celebrate wins. That's really hard for me, because I feel like my vision is so big and my goals are so big that what we're doing now feels like so meaningless in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggle with that every single day. So you said you have to be very, very diligent at making those things happen. And I'm not good at it. So my team thankfully is, and that's just not who I am. And they do a really good job. But if I don't schedule something to get done in the future, it's not going to happen, which is weird.
Yeah. Celebration is important for your mental, but also for all of the people around
For
you.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a key part of leadership.
Yeah, so we do we do our offsites, we do some leadership retreats, we go on vacation with our team. So we do things, but that's not because I did them. Maybe it was my idea, but they put it all together for sure. I have a great team. Rapid fire, real quick. Favorite business book?
I mean, I'm going to say Traction.
I knew it was coming. It's very dry, but it's so
It was
good.
the most impactful. And then I'm gonna go and say that the execution factor is a very, very close second.
Cool.
Very, very close second. Yeah.
Best investment under $1,000.
I'd probably say most recently, I love my Plod device. I really, really love my Plod, and it was under $500. It's on the back of my phone. Yeah, it's
It just records everything, right? For your that you're talking about. Yep.
it has this feature I love. It's called Mind Map. Yeah, because I mostly just sit in meetings all day now and
Right.
talk.
That's our life these days, though, right? On Thursdays, I wake up I don't wake up, but my first meeting starts at 8 a.m. and my last meeting gets done at 8 p.m. It's draining. That's our life, though. That's cool. Those are really, really cool. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
Worst business decision. I can't talk now. Worst business decision.
I'd probably say making the wrong hire, but even worse than that was letting the wrong person stay too long.
Oh yeah, cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
firing fast enough is probably the first one, and then a very close second would be bringing the wrong one in.
Yeah, I think that it's super cliche to say this, but it's true. It's like the old adage of, hire slow, fire fast. Super cliche, but it's so true. Like when you're in the thick of it, like, oh shit, I knew better. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like you can just feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Even when I go to different branches, right? Maybe you're the same way. If you feel like culture, like you walk into like one of your offices, can you feel like a culture shift? Or if something's off?
Yes. And it is intuitive. And sometimes I may think it's one thing, but then the right person leaves, and then I go, "Oh God, it was that person. How did I miss that? How did I miss that?" Yeah, and so,
Interesting.
but that's how you learn your intuition is by missing it.
For sure. What is the good one? Best hire ever?
I mean, I guess that's like asking me my best employee, right?
I know.
My number one one of my best team members directs my administration, and she started working for me as a scheduler and a manager of production, and she's just absolutely integrous and high execution and just amazing. Yeah, I think as you scale and grow your business, having a really powerful administrator on your team
For sure.
with high follow through, oh man, that's like cool drink of water in the
Do
desert.
you track like Colby scores or anything like that? Do you do that?
I've done the Colby score with my leadership team a few years ago, but my whole entire leadership team has turned, so it's probably time to do another one because I did find it very valuable.
You mentioned that one word. It's high follow through. I'm like, she must do Colby at some point. I like that. We do that with all our leadership team. Super smart. Costs $50. Go to Colby. I think it's called the Colby A Index, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Just
yeah.
go in there, take the test. It's not really a test. It's just kind of a questionnaire. And there's no right or wrong answer, and you'll always have the perfect score. So
Yeah.
you should do that.
Everyone gets a trophy.
They do. Yeah. Most underrated metric.
I have two answers to this. Operationally, I think it's the technician's effective dollar per hour rate or
Yeah.
EDA.
Yep.
I think that tells the story, man.
It sure does.
If you're doing good or not. And I think as an owner, I think you need to know your EBITDA. And that tells a story about who you are as an owner.
A lot of people don't even know what EBITDA means. Earning before interest, tax, amortization. And your email was like something at accounting.
Yeah.
What's that about? Is that the role you sit on?
I wore a financial hat for many, many years. I've
Gotcha.
worn every hat. I've done
Right.
everything.
We all have, yeah.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
any in the companies, like I've answered the phones of the CSR, I've answered the sales calls, I've knocked the doors, I've done the technician work, I've literally done it all. I've done the marketing, I've done all of it. Finance, you name it, I've done it.
I have a full-time financial person
Me
in-house.
too. That was one of my favorite hires. Thank gosh.
Yeah, and I'm actually completely rebuilding all of my financial systems in my business as we speak because as I scaled, it absolutely demanded that. And but accounting actually on my email, it's funny you bring that up. It doesn't really have a financial It started out as a financial thing, but I've kept it because I keep accounting.
Gotcha.
Keep an
I
account.
was just, yeah, I had to take myself out of our company email. Like it drove me bonkers. Do you find yourself, are you still like highly involved in the email or you just stay out of it? Like, I feel like it's good to just kind of keep a pulse on it, but I was like addicted to it.
Jonah, if I have a bottleneck, I'll tell you it's me being overly involved.
Yeah.
Yes, and I own it. I'm self-aware. I'm elbows deep every day in it. I talk to my people. I talk to my technicians. I visit my branches. I
I had to get myself out of the email because there was like a bad addiction that I had. Like I was like obsessed.
I need a full-time person to manage my email, and I don't
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. And then just like, I think like as you grow and, like having dashboards that are up to date on whether it's hourly or by the minute basis is so important. And if you don't have the KPIs tracked every single minute, every single technician, sales rep, like if you guys aren't there yet with Claude, everything, you guys can build these yourself. It's super important.
Yeah, I'm building out a Power BI dashboard.
Yeah, so we have
As
to. It's
we
so
speak,
awesome.
I have some people I contracted to do that. So I'll
It's so awesome. You will absolutely love it. Like we have like all of our marketing dashboards built out for every location, for every source, for everything. And it's like with the click of a button, you can see live data all the time.
Did you use a firm to do that, or you did that in-house, Jonas?
Both. We did a lot of it in-house, and we hired a firm too. The firm, well, I hired someone full-time to come in and do it. So he went to school for, and he just wasn't motivated, maybe it's not the bad word, but something like that. He couldn't lift it off the ground. I had the idea, he just couldn't. I was the visionary, he just wasn't a good implementer, I guess. Maybe it's some of my fault too. So then we hired a company. They built it for us, which is awesome. That was probably like a year ago, and then now he just tacks on the back end of it, which is really, really cool. But it's you are going to absolutely love it. Like just down to like the technician level and NPS scores and Google, like everything's right there. Like down to the route, down to the technician. It's pretty awesome. See how many stops you're doing per day, live day. Like it's just really cool. You can pretty much put whatever you want on there.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and then same thing on the marketing side, which is where I live, in the sales marketing side. I have all that data live, not having to sift back and forth through our Google LSA and then Facebook platforms. It's all right in front of me, live data all the time. I can see like every dollar spent live all the time and what's working. So we can go back and we just ask ourselves 3 questions at the end of each week, like what worked, what didn't work, and what are we working on to improve for next week? What are we testing? That's pretty much the 4 questions that we ask every single week.
It's so nice. The data being pushed is so nice. One of the reasons I'm investing in that right now is because I had the terrible experience of someone cooking my data. Yeah, it'd make themselves look better.
For sure. And so like rewinding the clock down, like we talked about like Alex, right? When we started for the podcast, Alex from Mosley. And like a year ago, that's one of the first things that he said when he went to that thing was having the right data. And I brought my CFO with me. And it's like, yeah, we're definitely lacking on that part. We had the data, but it wasn't all in one spot. And so now that we have all the data in one spot, so we started working on that a year and a year and a half-ish, last September. Yeah, something like that, a year and a half. It was the first time like, okay, we have the data, we just don't have access to it live all the time. And so I was like having him there with me. He's like, okay, I know what you're talking about. Let's do that. So it was really cool. That's when he's like, okay, let's spend the money to go do it. It's more what it was like. That was really cool. What excites you most about the next 5 years?
For our industry or just in general?
I don't know, for yourself, LaJaunie's.
I think what excites me the most about LaJaunie's in the next 5 years is just being able to expand to other markets, being able to scale and become more excellent, create more opportunities for the people that work in my business. Every year we have an initiative to improve something for the people that work in the business. It might be more time off or more contribution to 401k, whatever that is. We're always looking to improve. So I get really excited about opportunities for others. That's really my heartbeat, my passion. is just getting to create uh, a better life and a better world for the people that come and contribute every day to my business.
That's awesome. Last question, and I'll let you run because I've had you for like 2 hours now. What are you, and I probably already know the answer to this too because you've mentioned it already, but what are you most proud of?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm most proud of my children.
I knew that was coming. Same
Yes, oh
here.
my
Yeah.
gosh, both of my sons are just such incredible, good people, and good men. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're just good human beings, and they're going to do great things, and they're doing great things. So I think my motherhood is my proudest badge, and then after that, I would definitely say, what I've been able to do in LaJaunie's is right behind that. Yes, and the leadership accomplishment there.
For sure. And then congratulations on the PCT Top 100.
Thank you. I'm number 88. I know that's still low on the list, but for me, I'm gonna take a moment to celebrate myself, Jonas, just like we
Yeah.
discussed.
And so another thing that I struggle with personally, like, yes, we'd be on there too. I just can't get myself to put myself on there yet. I don't know why.
Yeah, why don't you?
Because it bugs the shit out of me that we're not going to be in like the top 5.
No. You're not looking at it in the right way,
I
Jonas.
know, but that's just, I don't know.
And in peer group Eagle's Nest fashion, I would say at this point, Jonas, may I give you some feedback?
For real. You're more than welcome to.
Let me give you some feedback there. Learning how to not be first and still be important is one of the best leadership lessons I ever received.
Yeah, it's tough. I appreciate the feedback, but it's tough for me because I've always been so good at everything that I've touched, whether that's sports or, like, I know.
What
I
are
don't
you
know. I don't know.
what are you missing out on by not reporting? Because then,
Nothing.
you
Yeah.
get to, well, no, you get to go to certain events.
Events. Yeah. Mingle with her. Yeah, I get it.
You get to network, and PR and those sorts of things are becoming more and more important now that AI,
Yeah,
that
because
matter.
it's going to pull. Yeah. Yeah. I 1,000% agree with you. I do agree with you.
You're letting the ego
It's
supersede.
definitely an ego thing. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm just honest, and I know that's what it is. And like, even we always do like the other stuff, like the Inc. 5000. But all it really turns into is just like a marketing ploy. Then my email gets blown up by millions of people, and it drives me crazy. So that's another part that I don't like. And then we're like, now the PE firms they're already all over us, and now like it's just more reason for them to contact us. And it's like, I just kind of want to be left alone at the same time too. Like, let us do our thing. I don't know. That's part of it too.
I could have been on the Inc. 5000 list more times, but after I had the experience, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know where the
Yeah.
value is in that.
And that's
Um,
probably like where like the whole PCT Top 100 is. It's for me, it's just kind of the same thing. I'm like, whatever. There's so many companies that I know that are massive companies that are on there.
It was such an important goal for me. Like, in 2020, I decided the business was doing right under 3 million, and in 2020, I was like, I declare that I'm gonna be on the list, okay? And I just decided in my brain, and that was part of my vision. And I was like 92 on the list last year, and I was so excited about that because I did what I said I was gonna do, and I kept integrity with myself. And this year, I didn't even know that I reported it, but I didn't even know the list came out, and I had moved up to 88, and like I didn't even realize it or think about it, and someone texted me, "Congratulations." But I felt more gratification just placing on the list for the first time because to your point, none of that really matters.
Right. I guess that's how I feel in a way. I don't know.
In the big scheme, none of it really matters, but you know what? My team feels personal pride in it.
Yeah. I understand that side of it. I do. Yeah.
It's again, it's the celebration factor, right?
Yep. I already told you I struggle there.
What happens when you go to the gym and someone lifts more weights than you, Jonas?
It doesn't happen a lot, but I'm older now, so it's okay. I don't lift as heavy as I used to. It doesn't bother me. It just doesn't.
You've let it go.
Yeah, because I just realized like there's young kids that are in there that are way bigger. Like I'm definitely not like I'm not gonna be able to grow anymore. Like I'm big as I'm ever gonna be. Like now for me, it's just maintaining what I have, just staying healthy and living for my kids. Like some people say that I'll do anything for my kids, I'll die for them. Yet they're massively overweight. It's like I always say, why don't you live for them now? And they don't like when I say that, but it's the truth. And I told you before, like that's just who I am. I'm not a jerk, but I don't always tell people what they like to hear either. I feel like even my best friend, like he'll call me and he's having a relationship problem, but he calls me because I know that I'll tell him the truth. I'm like, nah, no, dude, you're wrong. Go fix it. He's like, that's why I called you. That's why she tells me to call you because you just said it straight. And I'm not always on her side, but just tell him where he's wrong. I feel like that's what best friends should do, or leaders should do.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I'll translate that. You're really into lifting weights and you're highly competitive, but you've also accepted as you've gotten older, you're in your peak state and you're satisfied with your peak state and you're getting the outcome of your good health, which is what you're doing it for, right?
Yeah, right.
If you were to have a similar conversation with how you feel in business, what would that sound like for you?
That's a great question. Obviously, we're doing well. We're larger than most companies. But going back to like my goals and my dreams, where it's going to be in like the next 5 years. Yeah, that's probably where I struggle the most right there. Like we're like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like that's just where my brain's at. And I don't know. Great question. But obviously we're doing really good. And we're growing fast. Everything's really good. I have a great team. They probably deserve to be on the PCT Top 100 for sure. Because they've earned it. But even if I ask them, they're just like, a lot of them like, that'd be really cool. Like I had one text me last week, whenever it came out, 2 weeks ago. Like, hey, like when are we going to go on this list? I'm like, well, we've already made it 2 years ago, but I'm just no interest. Like, oh, that's cool. I just want to see where we'd be, So I've had people mention it, but they've never asked to be on there or say, why can't we be on there? But they've asked about it. So they're watching now.
Yeah. Okay.
I still don't think I answered your question though.
Well, yeah, I mean, the question, you're answering the question through how I think I might get on the list next year by your response. I feel like that's how
I
you're
mean,
answering.
maybe it's still a possibility. Like I see the value in it too, like from a marketing standpoint, right? From AI standpoint, driving traffic, credibility, right? If we launched the next part of our business, would it be helpful? For sure. People will see us on there. We're credible. Like I get all that side, but I really do. But then there's that ego thing that bothers me.
So one of my most important mentors told me something that really helped me with my competitive streak and my ego. And he told me, he said, the only person you're competing against is yourself. And so I tell myself that every time the competitive feeling rises, because I do think competitive feelings, while they can be great drivers, are also diverters of energy, especially if you're performing at a top level, which you are. And if we're going to use terms of revenue, we could say I am, right? Because we're top 0.001% of income earners and revenue producers and all of this stuff, if you go look at the statistics. But the answer is you feel okay about going to the gym and your physique and someone else being stronger than you, some young 20-year-old guy lifting more than you or whatever. You're cool with it because you've acknowledged that you've done everything you can to reach your highest level of potential in your physicality. Right? I'm in peak state. And so therefore I'm satisfied and I accept that this is my peak state and my peak state will change as I age, right? And you've accepted that as a term. And so I would say we had an interesting conversation, which may or may not have been recorded, where we talked about when is enough enough.
It was not recorded.
When is enough enough is what we were talking about
And we don't know the answer, either of us.
And now, as I've talked to you and enjoyed this conversation, and you've brought me into so many deep thoughts in areas of my life. You know what I think enough is enough? I think enough is enough when you realize that you're functioning at your highest peak potential as an entrepreneur and a business person. And that looks very different for everyone else. It looks different. What I could accomplish in business and what you may accomplish in business may be two very different things.
So then I ask questions like, look at Charlie Munger or look at Bezos or anyone of their caliber. Like, they're still in it. Elon still in it, getting to Mars, whatever the thing may be. Like, is it ever enough? I don't know. Like Charlie's passed away, but was he in his peak state? I don't know.
Did you think he fulfilled his highest potential?
Probably not, and neither have we then.
Yes. And so I think you'll find satisfaction when you realize this is my highest potential. This is my peak performance. This is my peak state of what I'm going to create or produce, right? And so I think until you feel like you're there, you don't want to celebrate. You don't want to take a day off. You don't want to acknowledge yourself on the list because you still feel like you're not who you are.
Right. I agree
Yeah.
with all that. I agree with all that. What is your exit strategy, or what's the plan in the next? I know you said like maybe not 5, 10. Because I get asked this question all the time. Do you have one, or is it not even a thought in your mind?
I am always building and growing my business to exit it.
Built to sell. Yep.
It doesn't mean that I'm going to sell, and I have no idea what the future will hold, as far as sales and exits and mergers. And to your point, no one has a crystal ball of what's going to happen next. But I'm always building my business to sell. That is always my intention and my strategy, because regardless if you want to sell your business or if you want to make it a multi-generational thing, all businesses come to an end. I believe this is Hormozy. He says all businesses will either be sold or they will close down. Right? They're all going to come to an end, and those are the two ways they're going to end. It's kind of like we all know we're going to die, right? We don't like to think about it, but our lives will end eventually, and the lives of our businesses will come to an end, and our involvement in them will eventually come to an end. And so if you build your business to sell, that is the wisest thing that you can do, even if it's not your intention. Because, by the way, if someone else thinks your business is valuable, it's because it's a good business. And if you have a good business, then you have a good income, you have more peace, you have more success.
How often do you get hit up by PE?
Not as often as one would think. Not as often as one would think. I don't know. Well, I don't know.
See,
Like maybe
that's all gonna change now that you're on the top 100, though.
maybe it's my response when people call me.
See, like good friend of mine, good mentor. He's like, I'm not selling, but I always take down their information and I always put it in a file. I'm like, lesson learned.
Yeah, maybe I should be doing that.
See, lesson learned. Take down the information because you never know.
Yeah, if you're, but I just think it's a good wise thing. Always build your business, sell, and it's even good to have a valuation and talk and understand what potential buyers of your business would want. I thought that podcast about market and valuation was so good. What was the name of that person? I started listening to it the other day when I was exercising. It's so good. Um, but
Can't
yeah,
remember.
I think you should understand, if you own a business, you should understand what makes your business valuable, and then build your business to make it valuable and
Yeah, I know
desirable.
Paul Gianmore talked about it a lot. Nick talked about it a lot. We've had so many conversations, but yeah, there's some great ones out there.
I'm gonna text it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to. But there's some really good ones out there. I know that Paul talked about a lot. There's been so many. I don't even know what episode we are on this point. We're gotta be closing on 200 somewhere in there. I don't know, somewhere in there. But you're like the third or fourth female only, which is really, really awesome.
Well, thanks. I appreciate
And
that.
every female that I've had on here, this is a bad word, but are absolute gangsters. Like, they're so knowledgeable, they're so smart, and I love seeing women in the industry. My COO, she's a female. She runs the company. She's a rock star. Like, there needs to be more women in this industry for sure.
Yeah. Statistically, female CEOs are more successful.
You're living proof, right?
That's not like me being biased to my sex. Like that, there's a lot of extensive research on it. While female CEOs are a minority in business, all of them are proportionately far more successful than their male counterparts. I think it's something about the way the female brain likes to multitask.
Could be. I have no idea. You're all very strange, regardless.
Oh, we are. I will own that.
we're all so different. It's funny.
Yes, yeah.
All right, Skye. Well, I'll let you go. It was a pleasure finally getting to talk to you. And you've been in the industry a long time, longer than me. It's finally good to connect.
Yeah.
We run in the same circle, but we never actually got down to sit down and talk for a period of time. So it was really good to connect and get to know you. I love what you guys are doing. I love watching it from afar. So best of luck to you and the whole LaJaunie's team, and just keep killing it there. And with the Eagle's Nest, for all you females, males that are looking for a great mentorship program, I think you guys should definitely reach out, talk to Skye, see what they have going on, get involved as much as you can, and just start learning from some of the greatest people in the industry. So Skye, just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Jonas. I thoroughly enjoyed talking with you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the kind words and just letting me bring some value today. Appreciate you.
Yeah, see you.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for this show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.